Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves, because if you thought the chaos of love and hip-hop Atlanta had already peaked, you are about to discover how dangerously wrong that assumption was. Imagine this, a luxurious getaway to Puerto Rico, all blue waters and sun-kissed palms. But instead of sipping cocktails and capturing perfect Instagram moments, a storm of secrets is about to rip through paradise. One confession, one name, and an entire friendship circle will shatter before our eyes. The tension began like a slow-burn thriller. Jock arrived with a grin that barely covered a volcano inside. Kirk kept flashing that poker face calm, the same look that has fooled too many people for too many seasons. And then, boom, Kendra's name entered the chat like a live grenade. Viewers at home felt the jolt in real time. Comment sections exploded with "no way" and "play the footage again." The question on every lip, was this dream trip doomed from the start? Because let us be honest. You can cancel a flight or buy a new umbrella when bad weather hits. But betrayal? You cannot buy back a friendship that has been stabbed through the heart. And Jock, he did not merely get mad. He detonated. We are talking full scale, cameras shaking, producers whispering, "keep rolling," kind of rage. It was not reality TV drama, it was a live-action Greek tragedy set to the soundtrack of crashing Caribbean waves. Puerto Rico was supposed to be about laughter and luxury. Instead, it transformed into a war zone of exposed lies and scorched trust. Social feeds lit up within minutes. "This is not a vacation, it is a live-streamed battlefield," one fan tweeted, while another posted, "The drama has more layers than my grandma's wedding cake." And every replay only deepened the mystery. How did it all unravel so fast? Let us rewind. This trip, pitched as a serene escape with sun, music, and maybe a little playful shade, secretly carried enough dynamite to power an entire reality TV season. Jock's suitcase might have held swim trunks and sunscreen, but it also hid years of unresolved resentment and a pride sharp enough to cut glass. Kirk? He arrived with that infamous quiet guilt, the aura of a man rehearsing excuses before the first drink is even poured. For years these two have danced around chaos. Jock, the charming jokester who somehow turns every party into a headline, has always courted trouble. And Kirk? His reputation is a cracked mirror, one glance and you already know there are things he does not want you to see. Whenever his name trends, it is never for charity or mentorship. It is for midnight moves and secrets that could light up a VH1 confession cam. So place these two combustible histories on the same island with Kendra's name swirling in the air, and what do you get? A spark beside a gasoline barrel. Fans watched in disbelief as friendships crumbled in real time. Was this betrayal years in the making? Was it all a calculated play for attention? Or was it proof that in the world of fame and filtered photos, loyalty is always the first casualty? For a brief, fragile moment, everything actually looked wholesome, almost like the opening of a redemption story. Picture it, Jock bringing his brother Wami to the boys' academy. Two men standing in front of eager kids, trading hard-earned wisdom, speaking about second chances. Wami opened up about the streets that once swallowed him whole. Jock's eyes welled with guilt as he confessed that he had not always been the role model he wanted to be. And then Kirk strolled in, the picture of a cool uncle who just happened to drop by, wearing that innocent half-smile. It was touching. The kind of scene that lures an audience into thinking, maybe this is a turning point. Maybe growth is real. But seasoned fans of love and hip-hop Atlanta know the cruel pattern. When the cameras linger on heartfelt tears, that is not closure. That is foreshadowing. That is the universe loading the next plot twist. And sure enough, the very second Jock wiped his face and embraced his brother, the conversation veered like a car on black ice, straight back to Puerto Rico. The shift was instant. The Gentle Boys Academy soundtrack might as well have screeched to a halt. Suddenly the warm, kumbaya vibes froze over. Jock's voice cut through, "Nah, bro. I am not playing referee. No more peace songs, no quiet conflict management." This was a man drawing battle lines in sand. And anyone who has followed Jock knows what that means. When he feels cornered, he does not merely push back. He flips the entire table. So when Rashida and Kendra's names entered the mix, the vacation imploded before the first boarding pass was even scanned. Yet what happened next rewrote the entire script of betrayal. Because while Jock braced for war, Kirk, of all people, chose that moment to play diplomat. He smiled, stretched out a hand, and tried to weave calm back into the air like a man auditioning for Best Friend of the Year. That is when Jock's eyes narrowed, and every ounce of island sunshine turned to storm. To Jock, Kirk's sudden sweetness did not smell like reconciliation. It smelled like guilt. Like someone trying to cover tracks in sand before the tide exposed everything. And then came the detonation. Jock did not merely hint. He aimed straight for the heart. "You spent the night with my wife. You had a relationship with Kendra." Silence. Pure, spine-chilling silence. In reality TV currency, accusing a man of sleeping with your wife is the equivalent of dropping a live grenade into the group chat. The room froze, and so did millions of viewers. Twitter timelines lit up like fireworks. Did he really just say that on camera? And roll back the tape. Did I hear that right? And the worst part? With Kirk's record, disbelief was hard to find. This is the same Kirk who once turned an ordinary cheating scandal into headline history. The man has practically trademarked the art of public apology. So when Jock hurled that accusation, it was shocking, but also painfully plausible. Half the audience whispered, "Honestly, it is Kirk." Would anyone be surprised? The camera zoomed in on Kirk's face, catching every flicker. First came the classic fake outrage, that "how dare you accuse me" glare. But beneath it, a flash of something raw and unguarded, panic. The kind of panic that says, "What if he knows more than I thought?" Because here is the truth. You do not wake up one morning, glance at a friend, and casually accuse him of sleeping with your wife. Accusations like that are not born out of thin air. They come from whispers. From late-night rumors. From a text message you were never supposed to see. From a screenshot that accidentally slid into the wrong inbox. And as every viewer could feel in their bones, this was only the beginning. Even before anyone packed a bag, the rumor mill was already howling. Anonymous screenshots were flying through group chats like discount codes on Black Friday. And in true reality TV fashion, Jock chose Puerto Rico, paradise itself, as the arena for a public showdown. If you think that is petty, remember, drama is oxygen on Love and Hip Hop. And right here is where the hypocrisy writes its own script. Kirk strolled in with that trademark calm, pretending he only wanted palm trees, beach cocktails, and a few Instagram-worthy sunsets. Please. This is the same man who breaks into hives when someone says the word accountability. The same man whose track record with fidelity could not survive a single day in a monastery. Jock knew it, and he aimed for the softest spot. The moment his accusation landed, the entire group froze. You could practically hear producers holding their breath behind the cameras. Puerto Rico was no longer a vacation, it was a live courtroom. Kirk had just been cast as the defendant, whether he wanted the role or not. And right at the center of the crossfire stood Kendra. For months, Kendra had worked overtime to prove she was Jock's ride or die. She defended him, patched over old scars, and built a case for her loyalty. Yet now she was the storm's epicenter. Depending on which corner of the internet you read, she was either the innocent wife dragged into male ego warfare, or a secret player in a double-life plot twist. Fans whispered, was there more than friendship between her and Kirk? Was Jock just paranoid? Or was this one of those smoke means fire scandals? Theories stacked up like storm clouds. Maybe a single reckless night. Maybe a hidden affair with a calendar of rendezvous. In the world of reality TV, the wilder the rumor, the faster it spreads. What began as a sunny group trip now dangled by a single frayed thread, Jock versus Kirk. Husband versus friend. Accusation versus denial. And the cameras caught every second. The very instant Jock fired the line, "You spent the night with my wife," the entire mood of Puerto Rico tilted. Forget the steel drums and salsa beats. This was court TV, beachfront edition. Kirk tried to hold his composure, but his body told a different story. He did the one thing every guilty man on reality TV eventually does, the nervous laugh. That hollow chuckle meant to say, "This is absurd," while his eyes silently screamed, "Oh no, he has receipts." Jock read the fear instantly. He leaned in, voice rising with the confidence of someone who knows he is not bluffing. Because here is the thing, accusations like that do not just materialize. They come from evidence. And word on the street said an anonymous DM had slid into Jock's phone weeks earlier. Inside, grainy screenshots of late-night messages. Phrases like "pull up," "do not tell anybody," and "had a great time last night." Innocent if you squint. Explosive if the sender was Kirk and the recipient Kendra. The timestamps, fans noticed, lined up a little too perfectly with one of those mysterious business trips Kirk takes, the kind where no invoice or client photo ever surfaces. Social media lit the match and poured gasoline. One tweet read, "If Jock and Kirk are really fighting over Kendra, I need front row seats." Another joked, "Kirk could not stay faithful locked in a monastery with no Wi-Fi." Memes stormed the internet before the scene even wrapped on TV. The favorite? A freeze frame of Jock mid-yell captioned, "When you realize your bro might be your stepson's new stepdad." Savage, and painfully on point. And still, the night was young. The real explosion, everyone sensed, had not even started. By the time the group even set foot on Puerto Rican sand, the rumor wildfire was already out of control. Alleged insiders, the kind who somehow always know the juiciest details before anyone else, were dropping whispers that Jock had privately confronted Kendra days earlier. According to these shadowy sources, she swore on everything that nothing happened. But her tone? Viewers said it carried just enough hesitation, just enough "how dare you question me" energy to keep Jock's doubt alive. Because in the love and hip-hop universe, even the strongest denial can sound like a quiet confession. And the producers? They were feasting. Cameras zoomed in like vultures on every micro-expression, Kirk's twitching smile, Jock's flaring nostrils, Rashida's side-eye sharp enough to slice through steel. Every second was pure, unscripted gold. But the real spectacle came from Kirk himself. Instead of meeting the accusation head-on, he reached for the oldest trick in the book, philosophy. He mumbled about brotherhood, about trust, about why would I ever do that to you, man? Classic smoke and mirrors. In reality TV language, that is code for I do not have a clean answer, so let me drown you in vagueness until you forget the question. Nobody forgot. If anything, the evasion fueled the hunt. Fans rolled up their sleeves and went into full forensic mode. Old footage resurfaced like buried evidence, a hug that lasted one beat too long, a whisper in a crowded room that looked a lot like flirting. Every archived clip turned into an exhibit. Every casual laugh became suspicious. The timeline only deepened the chaos. Viewers speculated this was not a sudden scandal but a slow-brewing storm, quietly simmering for months while other dramas grabbed the headlines. Then the internet delivered its most delicious twist. An alleged friend of the show leaked that production had unaired footage of Kirk and Kendra at an after-party, standing dangerously close, heads tilted in private conversation. Was it innocent? Maybe. Was it enough to send Jock into a spiral? Absolutely. And if you believe the leak, producers sat on that footage, waiting like chess masters for the perfect detonation point. A surprise Puerto Rico trip, perhaps? Coincidence? Please. Reality TV does not run on coincidence, it runs on perfectly timed chaos. Meanwhile, social media became a war zone. Hashtag Team Jock clashed with hashtag Team Kirk in real time. Some fans claimed Jock was letting insecurity wreck his friendships. Others fired back that Kirk's reputation was so stained that even looking at Kendra was reckless. Conspiracy theorists sharpened their takes, insisting the whole thing might be a producer-engineered ratings bomb. But here is the kicker, even if this were a carefully staged spectacle, Jock's face betrayed zero acting. His anger had the raw, unfiltered edge of a man who truly believed his closest friend had crossed the ultimate line. And what about Rashida? The woman who has survived years of Kirk's public betrayals now found herself dragged into another circus she never signed up for. You could practically hear the thoughts behind her tight smile, not again. Not on this island. Not with cameras rolling. But messy men have a way of pulling everyone into their storm. Jock was not letting go. He leaned closer, repeating the question like a gavel strike, tell me straight, did you or did you not spend the night with my wife? Silence thickened the air. Awkward shuffling. A strained laugh. And then Kirk deployed his signature escape hatch. Man, you really going to let these rumors come between us? You really going to believe the streets over me? To seasoned viewers, it was the weakest defense imaginable. Because in this arena, the louder someone preaches brotherhood, the more the audience wonders what secret they are desperate to hide. If the streets carry more credibility than you, maybe it is time to rethink your entire life plan. And while Kirk scrambled for excuses, the internet had already turned into a courtroom. Instagram lives lit up with people claiming they had spotted him and Kendra together. TikTok analysts slowed down every frame of the episode, dissecting eyebrow raises and side eyes like forensic experts. Over on Twitter, long threads stitched together past clips and old rumors, transforming casual gossip into a full-scale CSI, Atlanta investigation. But the most brutal blow did not come from social media. It came from Jock himself. He refused to let the moment slip into vague denials. Instead, he doubled down, unloading a catalog of every shady move Kirk had ever pulled. Every late-night lie, every public humiliation Rashida had endured. If you can do it to her, why would you not do it to me, he barked. The villa fell so silent you could hear the ocean grinding against the rocks. It stung because it was true. Kirk's love life is basically a highlight reel of betrayal. Against that history, Jock's accusation no longer sounded outrageous, it sounded inevitable. And that is when the mood changed from awkward to catastrophic. There was no going back to poolside drinks and vacation playlists. This had become a personal war. Everyone else on the trip? Just collateral damage. Picture it, paradise skies glowing gold while two grown men set fire to years of friendship, right there on camera. This is exactly why fans watch Love and Hip Hop. Not for the beaches. Not for the music. For moments where trust and betrayal collide so hard the screen practically vibrates. And the fallout was only beginning. Someone would have to pay the emotional bill, and it was going to cost more than any luxury resort stay. The tension hit a new pitch when Jock dropped his final bomb. The air went dead for a heartbeat, then cracked open. What followed was not a normal argument. It was the slow dismantling of a brotherhood in front of friends, strangers, and millions of viewers. Kirk, desperate to keep a shred of dignity, made a last-ditch plea, bro, you are letting producers play you. You think I would risk my marriage, my family, my brand for one night? The irony landed like a hammer. If Kirk's history proves anything, it is that he will risk all of that for far less than one night. Infidelity is practically his brand logo. Jock knew it. The audience knew it. Even Rashida, arms crossed and eyes rolling so hard they could power the villa's lights, knew it. Jock rose, pacing like a man ready for either a fight or a divorce lawyer. You think I am stupid? My wife came here to celebrate, and I have to hear from everyone but you what went down. And you call yourself my brother? Each sentence hit like a nail sealing the coffin of their friendship. Rashida's glance at Kirk was pure exhaustion. We have been here before, and we know exactly how this ends. Meanwhile, the internet went nuclear. Comment sections turned into miniature battlefields. Hashtags like hashtag Jock vs Kirk and hashtag KendraGate trended worldwide. Reddit theorists debated whether Kirk and Kendra had actually crossed the line or if this entire eruption was a producer-engineered ratings masterstroke. But here is the secret to reality TV: even if it were scripted, the emotion was painfully real. Viewers were hooked, not just entertained. Producers, sensing ratings gold, were reportedly already floating ideas for an entire spin-off arc built on this chaos: Jock's trust issues, Kendra's denials, Kirk's serial scandals, Rashida's quiet endurance. Off-camera, though, things were anything but playful. Sources whispered that later that night, behind slammed doors, Jock and Kendra had a screaming match. He demanded the truth. She repeated her innocence. Puerto Rico was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it had become the set of a public trial, a marriage on the brink, and a friendship turned into rubble, all under Caribbean moonlight and the relentless eye of reality television. Kendra's silence said more than words ever could. Every pause, every crack in her voice only fed Jock's paranoia. And once suspicion takes root, it grows like wildfire. Kirk tried to play crisis manager, giving calm interviews, insisting Jock was overreacting and that rumors are only rumors. But Kirk's reputation speaks louder than any press statement. You can only cry innocent so many times before the world starts looking at you like the boy who cried wolf.